Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady. We've got two more great new stories waiting for us today, so take a comfortable seat and let's start with a story about Karen in the store. A pre-Karen meme, Karen in the wild. Hey, first time posting. My apologies now for any lingo that isn't right. Background. I'm from the UK, and this happened to me about 10 years ago. Reading other people's stories, I thought I would add my own to the mix. So I worked in a shopping mall for a small independent chain. They made alternative clothing, mainly. My uniform consisted of a t-shirt with the store's logo on the front. The shop was called Punky Fish, so it was sort of a fish that resembled a slightly altered anglerfish with a chain and an eyebrow piercing. The t-shirt was black, fish in writing in gold with studs on it. It also read, Funky Fish. How can I help you? Funky Fish on the back. You could wear anything on the bottom half. My go-to was crushed velvet leggings and Converse at the time. To get to my store, I would usually park in a multi-story space and walk through one of the big department stores that were always connected to it. This time was the turn of Marks and Spencer's. Any non-UK residents who are not familiar, it's an old-fashioned shop with clothing, homeware, food, and beauty products. Their uniform is black and green, a polo or shirt with smart trousers and shoes. This is important. Walking through, I have my bag in hand, as well as McDonald's I picked up on the drive-thru and a drink in the other. Here's the story. Me is me, and Karen is K. Me. Walking through the store, minding my own business, drinking drink, stopping a sec to check my phone. K. Sharp finger prodding me in the shoulder. Excuse me? I turned to see angry Karen, a bit taken aback because of the prodding. Yes? Did you not hear me or something? I've been chasing you through the store. I remember hearing someone shouting excuse me several times. I heard you, yes, but I didn't realize it was for me. What's the matter? Thinking maybe I dropped something or whatever. Her face is now red and maybe purple. What's the matter? Is that how you speak to customers? This is disgraceful. First of all, you ignore me. Then instead of, how can I help you, you say, what's the matter? I hate confrontation. The penny hadn't dropped yet that she thinks I work here. Oh, how can I help you? Still angry. I want this in size S for my daughter. There is no size S. Get one for me. Penny dropped. Miss, I don't work here. This was obviously the wrong answer. You're wearing a t-shirt that says, how can I help you? Yes, it also says Punky Fish, twice. It also has it on the front. I do not work here. Apparently I pressed some sort of murder button talking back to her the same way she had to me. This is ridiculous. I'm a paying customer. I don't care what your t-shirt says. I need a size small for my daughter. At this time, enough commotion had gone on that a member of staff came over in full uniform. Well, what's going on here? This girl will not assist me. I want to speak with whoever's in charge. This is ridiculous. Rudeness and bad customer service. They look at me, look at my uniform. Miss, she doesn't work here. I'm starting to wonder why I'm still standing here, looking at the member of staff and smiling. I'm going to get to work now. I'll leave her with you. Sarcastic grin. They nod. You can't go anywhere until we speak with the manager. Okay, well, my shop is out the side door by the restaurant and up towards Starbucks. My manager isn't in today, but I'll let the assistant manager know you'll be by to complain about clothes we don't stock and my attitude. It was at this time that I left the poor member of staff with Karen and made my way to my actual place of work. I didn't look back, but I could still hear her shouting about my behavior. Rude staff, incompetent, shouldn't be wearing tops that say you can help. Sorry, member of staff, that I left you with her. I explained the story to my assistant manager, and we laughed, and she said, well, if she turns up, I'll be sure to let her know I let you have a verbal warning not to be rude to customers in Marks and Spencer's. And our second story for today. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I'll bury you. This is primarily sweet revenge, but it was achieved by maliciously complying. Background. I work for a very large roofing company, and in this particular region, there are only 3 companies that are considered when it comes to larger commercial projects, like apartment complexes, condos, etc., and my company is one of them. We all had worked the region as friendly competitors, so much so that up to this point, if one of us landed a large deal but didn't have the time to complete it, we would hand it off to one of the other two in good faith. Be paid a finder's fee based off the cost of the total job, and the cycle would continue. That is until the following incident went down. 2 years ago, I got a contract for a commercial metal building, but did not have the crews to spare for this project, so I called the owner of one of the other two companies, let's call him Mr. D for dummy, that I previously mentioned could handle this, and referred him the deal, which he graciously accepted. My finder's fee here would have been approximately $40,000, a pretty hefty chunk of change, but he probably made 5 times that in profit. He never paid me this. I tried calling him dozens of times to get paid, but he was now dodging me. Eventually, my number and email were blocked from calling his phone, office, and both work and personal emails. Okay, if that's how you want to be, 2 can play this game. Fast forward a couple months, and there was a massive storm that damaged a huge condo complex. I'm talking several hundred units. At this particular complex, the HOA board made the decision on what company would be selected to do the work. I knew several members, and they knew of my work, so I was called in to assist with the adjustment from the insurance company and make sure they were taken care of under the assumption that I would get the contract for this deal. I met the adjuster on site who knew me and my company very well, as we'd been working the same market for nearly a decade at this point. He and I tag-teamed the adjustment to speed it along, and he also used my knowledge to help him understand what all needed to be covered. He primarily did flood damage claims, so wasn't the most knowledgeable about roofing. Thus, he deferred to me for my expertise quite often when it came to these claims, especially pricing. This comes into play later. We finished the adjustment after 2 full days on site, and the adjuster heads off to go work on the estimate, which he will have in about a week. At this time, Mr. D from the previously mentioned company finds out about this property and tries to finagle his way into getting the contract. Turns out he knew the president of the HOA through some mutual friends. Mr. D bribed the president with a cruise to the Caribbean and a free new roof on his son's home to try and get the deal. Now the entire board, aside from the president, was backing me at this point and wanted me to do the work, but the dude just wasn't having it. I was forwarded an internal email chain from one of the friendly board members where Mr. President flat out replied, "I don't give a bleep, I will not let bleep do our roofs." At this point, the other board members could easily outvote him and just give the job to me. And he knows this, and tells Mr. D. So what does Mr. D do in all of his infinite wisdom? Well, Turbo Nuts decided to buy all the material needed for the project and have it delivered. Has a crew start tearing off the roof without a signed contract. He did this knowing it would force the board's hand and they'd have to use him, solidifying him as the contractor. Okay, so I lost the deal. Where does my revenge and deliciously evil compliance come in, you ask? Well, remember when I said we were all waiting for the adjuster to write the estimate? We were about to get it. Now, anyone who has ever dealt with an insurance claim knows the insurance company always underpays the first time around. It's just how it is. Then you deny acceptance of their price, send in your estimate, and negotiate. That is, unless you agree to their estimate up front. So the day before Mr. D pulls his stunt, I get an email from the adjuster, who is completely unaware of what is transpiring, with his first draft of the estimate. As per usual, he sends it asking me to review it and see if the pricing is right. Oh boy, was it not. This project should have cost anywhere from $500,000 to $600,000. His estimate was for $240,000. Fun fact, if a capable contractor and the customer agree to an insurance estimate, it makes it nearly impossible to ask for more money down the road since the customer and the person able to do the work agreed to the original price. I think you know where this is going. I replied back, "Yup, looks good, cut the check and send it to the HOA." So I went to the HOA the following day and gave them the insurance estimate, told them they'd just have to call the adjuster to confirm they also approved it. They did exactly that. I wished them the best of luck, told them to give this to Mr. D as he'll need to get that contract finally signed for that price. I didn't put up a fight. I didn't argue or try to get the deal back. I simply went in knowing I was no longer getting the deal and would have to accept that. Haha. Poof. I disappeared into the wind and let my plan play itself out. I found out a few months later from my friends on the board that Mr. D went absolutely ape crap when they gave him the agreed-upon price. He tried calling the adjuster and getting a new price set, but the adjuster just replied that if he couldn't do it for that price, I was more than able to. He knew he was screwed because he'd already committed himself to re-roofing that entire complex no matter what. He lost about $100,000 on that project based on my calculations. On top of that, he tried to cut every corner imaginable to get his costs down and ended up doing an absolutely terrible job. So terrible that the HOA is now suing him for not standing behind his work as numerous leaks have sprung up, and some of the work is so shoddy it can be seen from the street, and he's refusing to pay for it or come back to correct anything. He would have been better off just to do the project properly, eat the loss — his company was large enough they could eat it and not go under — and walk away tail between his legs. He's not smart enough to come to this conclusion, as I found out. So there you have it. You try to be stingy and bite the hand that fed you, then come back for seconds. I will bury you. Occasionally, I feel bad knowing that his company couldn't even get a contract for a chicken coop at this point, but then I remember that he purposefully went out of his way to try and screw me and destroy any and all mutual respect we had for one another. He made his bed, now he gets to lie in it. FYI, first post I've ever made here. Update. Mr. President ended up not getting his promised Caribbean vacation or free roof, FYI. Mr. D reneged on that pretty fast. I also later found out that one of the workers slipped and fell into the attic and went through the ceiling of Mr. President's unit. He was fine, by the way. Think Tom Hanks in the Money Pit when he falls through the floor? I got a good chuckle out of that. Update 2. All the shoddy work Mr. D did has been fixed at this point, and the property is in pristine condition. And all the additional expenses the board had to incur have been reimbursed in full. Therefore, everyone ended up on top, with the exception of Turbo Nuts and Bahama Mama Mr. Prez. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.